Welcome to the Academy, a series focused on the basics of Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's easy to join and make a guild in Star Wars: The Old Republic, but a guild can be so much more than just a group of players with a shared chat. In this episode of the Academy, we'll be explaining how to create events and offer services to your guildmates, whether you're a guildmaster or just a member who wants to help your guild grow. If you want to set up events for your guildmates, you first need to decide how you'll let people know they're happening. There's a million ways to communicate, and there's no right way, just the way that works for your guild. Some guilds use Facebook, others use a gaming website called Engine, and others use forums. If your guildmates feel comfortable sharing their phone number, you could even create a group text message chat. If they feel comfortable sharing their email, you could send out a message and make sure it gets forwarded to everyone. You could even stick to sending in-game mail to everyone in your guild about news and upcoming events. This one just takes the longest, especially if you have a bigger guild with lots of members. If you want to plan events, you'll also want to find out roughly when people are available and online playing. For most guilds, that sweet spot will be between when people get off work and school, and before people go to bed in the evening. What exact time period that will be depends a lot on what server you're on. For example, on our East Coast server guild, we found our prime time to be between 8 PM EST and 11 PM EST, and schedule most of our events during that time frame. One of the most commonly scheduled guild events are operations, sometimes known as raids, because they're one of the few things in SWTOR where you need such a large group on all at the same time, and can be hard to do spur of the moment if there's not enough players online to make it work. If you want to schedule operations for your guild, there are two main ways to do it: signups and pre-scheduling. If you choose to allow people to sign up for a raid, you'll need to make sure you have somewhere that lists what date and time it is, what kind of gear you need for it, and what roles are available, and make sure to keep it updated as people sign up. If you do sign-up raids, it requires a lot less preparation than pre-scheduling, but it means your group can often be a bit more of a mixed bag in terms of experience and knowledge. It's usually good to try and pair up an unexperienced tank with an experienced one, and this can be hard to do with signups. Sign-up raids can also be disappointing if they don't get filled up. You don't know if the raid is going to happen or not until you get all 8 spots filled up. Signups are a very fair way to do raiding though. They're first come, first served, no favorites. The other way to schedule operations if you have a bigger group of players is through pre-scheduling. Every week, you have your guildmates fill out what their availability for the week is. We use a spreadsheet in Google Docs. For example, next week, Bob's available every weekday after 5 PM, and Joe is only available on Thursdays and Tuesdays. Then based on everyone's availability, you draft up a schedule and post it up at the beginning of the week. This helps create more balanced raiding teams, and it's also nice because your guildmates will know their guaranteed schedule beforehand and can plan the rest of their week around that. If you have a smaller guild that focuses on raiding, you could of course get your raiding group together and discuss a night and time where you'll raid consistently every week with the same 8 or 16 members. The downside of this is that any new members you pick up might feel left out, and if your core members have to miss a night, you might not have anyone ready to fill their spot. This is the easiest way of scheduling operations, but it restricts your raids to specific teams. No matter what type of system you use to schedule raids, you should also make sure to have one member as the designated raid leader. This person should be able to lead the team, call breaks, and help distribute loot fairly. How you distribute loot fairly is up to your guild. Just make sure everyone knows and agrees with the loot rules before they go into the operation. In our guild, we use the rule of, you can only win one unassembled piece per operation. Some guilds prioritize gearing main characters to help get through difficult content. Others use a DKP system, where you get points for showing up to the raid on time and can use them to barter and bid for gear drops. There's no right way to do it, only a way that's right for your guild. The second most common type of guild event is PvP nights. You can easily queue up for PvP at any time, but it can be a lot more fun and less discouraging if you do it with friends. Setting up PvP nights is pretty easy. All you have to do is share the night and time with your guildmates and encourage them to come. If your guild is more slanted towards PvP, you can even set up practice nights or dueling nights where an experienced PvPer can teach newer ones one-on-one. For any type of event, if you notice attendance is low, you can try 2 things to make it higher. The first is getting the word out better. Most people need multiple reminders to show up to an event before they remember. The other is to offer extra incentive to show up. For example, for every event you run, a member has a chance to win a prize, or they get featured in a screenshot that's later shared with the whole guild. Sometimes events just aren't going to work out in your guild though. If you're the only one who likes to PvP, it might not be worth trying to make PvP nights happen. The third most common type of guild event that guilds like to host is Roleplay Nights. Of the three big pillars of guilds, PvE, PvP, and RP, Roleplay is the one that can vary the most from guild to guild. Hosting a Roleplay Night is similar to hosting a PvP night. You need to find a way to share what's happening and include a date and time. The difference is that you usually want to include a theme or a plot hook so people know what kind of characters they can bring. Is it a Jedi RP night held on Tython? A Sithon on Korriban? Are you holding a council to discuss recent events and news in the galaxy? Are you going on a mission to raid an outpost and anyone who can hold a lightsaber or blaster can help? Role-playing in a group requires a reason for all the group members to be in the same place, but it doesn't have to be complex. It can be as simple as a few Jedi grouping up together to discuss Padawans, or as complex as an espionage group breaking into the Dark Council's chambers. If you want to keep things light, you can even just host Cantina Rp. Everyone shows up at the bar to relax and take a night off from saving the galaxy. Cantina Rp usually focuses more on character conversations rather than a plotline, and usually mixes in flirting, Corellian ale, and a few bar fights. If you're hosting a roleplay event that has an ongoing plot, you'll want to make sure to keep track of what has happened and give either a bullet point list or a written summary to new members or returning ones who've missed a few days. Having these summaries helps people insert their characters into the story instead of just showing up on the doorstep. One of the biggest things you'll want to keep in mind as a roleplay night host is helping others feel included, especially newer guildmates. It can be very daunting to jump into a mission or cantina drama, and because everyone will already have ties to their story, new members may feel like they're barging in. Great ways to get newer members included in the story is to ask if they'd like an assigned role for the night. In serious missions, it might be something like communications expert or rear guard. In lighthearted ones, it might be the bartender or the bouncer. As they get more comfortable, they can easily grow out of the roles you've given them to start off with. Make sure to also go out of your way to ask newer members questions their characters can answer with more than a yes or no. Things like, what planet did you grow up on, or what did you see over there? Will give them a direct chance to say their piece without being left out. If you're running a group RP, there's two main ways to settle conflicts, either between characters or even within the storyline. For example, the group tries to slice a door. Do they succeed? The first way to decide is to simply make the choice as a group leader. The second is to let the players make their arguments. Maybe one says they could succeed, and the other says no, none of us has ever sliced anything before. And the group agrees. The third is to use /roll to decide, like rolling a die to see if the odds are in the group's favor. The most common types of guild events are PvE operations of flashpoints, PvP war zones in a group, and role-playing as a group. But there's a whole lot more that you can offer for your guild, and we'll be talking about that on the next episode of The Academy. If you want to show your support for this series, or to get notified when the next episode of The Academy comes out, subscribe to this channel.